The pull-up is the gold standard bodyweight exercise out there, and it is one of the best exercises you can do, period, for your back when it comes to building your back and building your lats. However, doing a good pull-up, a proper pull-up, is not easy, and that's for a couple reasons. You're gonna see a lot of sloppy pull-ups out there, a lot of people just doing everything they can to get their chest to the bar, not with any real form and not with any real focus. But a proper pull-up is an exercise in total body tension that's going to challenge your lats, it's gonna work your grip, it's gonna challenge your abs a lot more than you may think, and it's a really good show of overall total body strength. Now, how do we get to that proper pull-up? We're gonna give you a couple techniques so that you can do that and help you to understand the mechanics that go into a pull-up so that you can either A, get your pull-ups much, much better and understand how you're training, or B, get your first pull-up even, and we're gonna show you all of that right now. So before we get into how we're going to attack and build up this pull-up, let's take a look at the muscles that you're actually training when you're doing the pull-up. And again, this is a total body exercise, but there are a couple muscle groups that really get challenged. Among those are some that you already know. You're gonna wind up attacking your mid-back muscles a ton because they're gonna give you a ton of stability, and your lats are that key mover in the pull-up that's really gonna help you get your chest to the bar. In addition to that, your forearms are gonna get hammered because we're really gripping that bar, especially when you're doing a full set of pull-ups. That grip is gonna have to last for 30 to 40 seconds, so you're gonna get a ton of forearm work. Your biceps are gonna get a ton of work too because they're a really key muscle in assisting us in our pull. And then you're gonna get two underrated muscle groups that are gonna be very involved. We're gonna wanna create total body tension, so our glutes and our abs, our entire core musculature, is gonna get really challenged during the pull-up. So we've got Brett here to help us demo the pull-up, and we're gonna break this into two categories. Now, the first key thing we have to think about is going to be our grip position. There are three prevailing grips you're generally gonna see based on the bars you have and what you have access to. We can either attempt to do this with an overhand grip. That's gonna be your classic pull-up. Brett, let's show them that. And this is going to be the hardest position overall on your shoulders. It's gonna be the position that also we have to work to really twist our elbows forward, that way we create external rotation at the shoulder joint. So that's gonna be our hardest position. Brett, let's come down. Your second option is going to be the underhand grip. This is gonna essentially be your chin up position. For most people, is going to be your easiest, most comfortable way to do the pull-up, in part because we get to leverage our biceps a little bit more. Our biceps are a little bit more active from this angle. We're still challenging our grip a ton. Your third option is going to be a neutral grip pull-up. This is with your palms facing you, and this is going to be your most shoulder comfortable position. You're gonna leverage your biceps a little bit. We're still challenging our grip. We still have to create a little bit of external rotation at the shoulder joint. We're gonna show you how to do that next. This is the position we're going to show you how to do the pull-up in. And in general, if you're not sure where to start, if you're not sure what to do, gravitate towards that neutral grip pull-up. In terms of grip width, we can wind up taking this very wide if you want. That's gonna limit the range of motion a little bit that your lats actually have to go through. We can take this a little bit more narrower, then we're gonna leverage a little bit more of our biceps into things. Do you wanna try to take this with a little bit wider than a shoulder width grip? That's gonna give you space to move. It's gonna be your most natural position. That's what Brett's gonna do as we get into this setup. He's gonna go a little bit wider than shoulder grip, and then he's gonna take a neutral grip. From here, what he's got to do, we want to make sure that we are not just hanging on the bar. So Brett, get into this hang position. The mistake you'll often see people make, let's get into worse hang position, Brett, and you kind of see what happened there. His torso essentially dropped. He's got no tension on his shoulder blades. He is hanging his shoulders out to dry in this position. Because he has no tension in his shoulder blades, he also had no tension in his abs. Let's get into the bad position. He's gonna have a lot of what we call energy leaks. Those energy leaks are all spaces where he's going to be not getting all of his energy going upwards during the pull-up. That's gonna make this harder for him. It's also gonna place him in a slightly more injurious position where injuries can happen, and it's just not the most optimal way to do a pull-up. So Brett, let's get into that hang position again. Neutral grip. Now what we want to do and what we're really looking for, once Brett is in this hang, he's going to do two key things to create tension throughout his body. One, he's going to think about squeezing and depressing his shoulder blades. And you see what happens as soon as he does that, his entire torso rises up. He's got a ton of tension in his mid-back already. The second piece, while maintaining that tension, let's get into a poorer position with our lower body. Brett, now he's just hanging, but what he's going to do is he's going to tighten up his abs. Think about keeping your legs in front of you. Now, if you take this position that he's in, he is essentially in a vertical plank. He has that level of tension through his shoulder blades, that level of tension on his abs. Let's get down one more time, Brett. That is the tension that you're going to want in the pull-up position. So let's get back into this setup one more time. Brett's gonna shake it out. He's gonna get himself set, neutral grip. He's gonna grip these handles as tight as he can. He's going to squeeze and depress his shoulder blades. He's going to tighten up his abs. He's going to think about, even if this doesn't necessarily happen, what he's going to try to do is essentially turn his elbows forward. By doing that, he's going to keep his shoulders in external rotation. That's going to put him in a really, really solid position in order to get the pull-up. So that is your setup. Let's take a real quick break, Brett. The reason Brett has to take it out after each of these is because hanging takes work. That's why hanging winds up being one of the early steps that you take. If you haven't been able to get a pull-up, you want to just get comfortable hanging. Get comfortable hanging with tension. That's going to set you up to really earn your pull-up as we get down the line. Now, how do we do the pull-up? So Brett's going to get into neutral position. Again, we're thinking about all those cues we just talked about. Once he has that tension, all he's going to do, nice and simple, he's going to really keep tension in his abs. And then what he's going to do is get in position. What he's going to do, all he's thinking about driving his elbows into his hips. And when he pulls up, the thing Brett does really well, let's get another rep, Brett. He gets to the top, he tries to maintain a level of control. And what I really like that Brett is doing at the top of this, when he gets to the top, he's trying to drive his shoulders downwards to his hips. Now that is key because when you drive your shoulders downwards, we don't want your shoulders shrugging up on the pull-up. If they're shrugged up and they're not driven down, you're not trying to create as much length through your traps as possible, then you're essentially flexing your traps and you're moving against yourself instead of using these larger muscles through your lats and your mid-back to drive yourself up into pull-up position. The other thing Brett does really well, he works to, let's go up into a rep, he works to control himself in that top position. Even if you can't establish that control, for 1 second, when you get to the top of your pull-up, think about continuing to pull upwards and maintaining that tension. That's going to help you really dominate and get that really good lat and mid-back squeeze that you want to get on your pull-ups. The last thing Brett does really well, and this is key, he's going to get up into that top position. He's going to drive up into the top of the pull-up. He's going to work to pause for a split second. When he comes down, look at how much control he's coming down with. That's a little bit too much control, but look at how much control he's coming down with. Now you want that level of control. You never want to lose tension in your body. If you lose tension, if you don't maintain that tension coming out of the pull-up, then you're going to start to swing back and forth as you come down from this rep. Now, once you've got all this swing, in order to go into your next rep, because you lost tension, you have to suddenly control that swing to go up into your next pull-up. That's why we want to come down. You want to think of coming down for 2 seconds and just maintaining control. Don't lose tension through your abs and don't lose tension through your shoulder blades. So let's give them 3 perfect reps, Brett. So again, starting from that good starting position, gets all the way up, controls himself down, and let's get one more rep. Getting taxing for Brett. He's already done a lot of reps and pull-ups are demanding, but that is the basic setup for a simple good pull-up that will get you back gains, it will get you forearm gains, and it will get you biceps gains. That is how you want to execute it. Now, if you don't have that pull-up, or even if you feel like you just want to get better at that pull-up, there are a couple ways that we can work to optimize that beyond just trying to pile up reps and reps and reps of the hardest basic bodyweight exercise that there is. 4 variations, and again, these will work if you're trying to just improve your basic pull-up. These will help get you there. Or if you don't have your basic pull-up, treat these almost like regressions that can help you get to that pull-up, because we're going to really build and get comfortable with the back strength, with the forearm strength, with the total body strength that we need to get the pull-up by working through these variations. All of these variations too can work from any of the grips that you want. So the first variation I want you to think about is something called the scapular pull-up. Now this doesn't even look like a pull-up and you're almost not gonna notice it, but all Brett's gonna do, he's gonna get into that really, really good base pull-up position. And now what he's going to do, while keeping his arms straight, he's thinking about just elevating his neck as much as he can. Now what we're training here, right, is we're training to get into that great position of starting tension for our pull-up. Let's do 2 more reps, Brett. So we wind up really training our scapular stabilizers, lower traps, lower lats, all of that gets hit on this, and all of that is exactly what you need to start the pull-up. So you can do this a couple ways. One, if you're just want to get warmed up for pull-ups, you can do say 2 sets of 8 to 10 reps of this, or you can use this if you're trying to get to that point where you can do pull-ups. You can do say 3 sets of 8 to 10. You can do this with a ladder frequency where you're hitting muscles that we really need to hit in general all the time. Another exercise that you can do if we're still just trying to work up to that pull-up, what Brett's gonna do, he's going to go into a pull-up hold. So all Brett's gonna do, he's gonna get into that same neutral grip pull-up position. Again, you can do this from any grip, but we're gonna stick with our neutral grip. And all he's gonna do, he's going to pull to the top. And if you can't pull to the top, we could easily get on the box and we can start from that top position. But all Brett's gonna do is he's gonna get into the top and we're gonna work to hold this for as long as we can. Let's do it, Brett. 1, this winds up being a lot harder than it looks, but 2, this is a really good way to get a full contraction through your lats, through your mid-back, biceps and forearms. You can come down, Brett, are all working. Just holding this for say 10, 12 seconds, try to work up to even longer than that, is a really, really good way to make sure that you own the top position of your pull-up. This is the second thing. Once you have done scapular pull-ups, if you're not sure where else to go, yes, we can do some stuff with resistance bands, we can do a couple other regressions, but if you're not sure where else to go, just start working from that top position and hanging out in that top position for as long as you possibly can. And then the third regression, and again, this is another idea, you can do this from all of our pull-up grips, and you can also do this if you can't get to the top of the bar because you don't have that. You can either jump to the top of the bar or you can start with your legs on the box from the top of the bar. And all Brett's going to do, this is an eccentric pull-up, so he's going to get into the top position, and then what he's thinking about doing is lowering very, very slowly. You want to think about getting this 5, 6, even 7 seconds on the way down. And the key part here, if you can do pull-ups already, this is a great way to intensify any set of pull-ups because you can do as many sets of good form pull-ups as you can, and then we can pile up some eccentrics at the end, or we can just do them slow to start and then shift into regular pull-ups. That is a great way that we can intensify our standard pull-up. But if you don't have your pull-up yet, again, stand on a box or find a way to get to the top of the bar, and then lowering slowly down is a great way to start to acclimate your body to the tension that it needs and acclimate your lats and your mid-back muscles to the tension that they have to create as you're lowering down. So let's give them 2 more reps of that eccentric pull-up rep. This is gonna be a little bit lower rep for you. You wanna think about doing 2 to 3 sets of say 3, even 4 reps. You don't need to do a lot of reps because look how long it takes and look how much tension we're putting into things. That is all you really need to do to kind of get something out of these eccentric pull-ups. So here's our last eccentric pull-up rep. Nice and slow, trying to own the position and trying to make each rep take as long as possible. I'd rather you do fewer reps and you make them last longer when you're doing eccentrics versus trying to do 6 reps and all of them wind up being 3, 4 seconds and you're just kind of rushing through it. Now that you understand how to do the main pull-up, what do we do with this interesting move that you'll often see CrossFitters do called the butterfly pull-up? It looks like they're basically doing everything they possibly can and contorting their body in any possible way so that they can get their chest to the bar as quickly as possible, and very often it looks like a dead fish doing a pull-up. Now, is this a bad thing? In general, if you're training for strength and if you're training to build muscle, the answer to that is yes. Now, the butterfly pull-up does have a purpose, but it's not something that you need to learn if you're just trying to build strength and muscle because it has a very specific purpose. The CrossFitters who wind up learning this and anybody who's really learning the butterfly pull-up, they're doing this essentially so they can string multiple reps together. They're trying to make the pull-up as little of a muscle builder as possible. That way they can pile up reps and they can do it in a very quick period of time. Now, that does not mean it is a valueless move. There are just other ways we can train what we're gonna get out of it. Because what we get out of the butterfly pull-up is we're going from an arched position with our back into that hollow body position, and we're doing that very quickly. That's a gymnastics idea that is really useful for gymnasts, and it's a really, really good show of true spinal mobility. However, it's not something that we need to do because we can easily work that and train that by doing cat-cows, by doing other thoracic bridge ideas, and you can do those things instead of doing the butterfly pull-up. So if you are training for CrossFit, sure, go ahead and work that. But if you are just trying to build general muscle and strength and you just want a really, really good back builder, then focus on classic pull-ups instead. So there you wind up with 3 pull-up variations that can help you get to your pull-up. And we've given you that really, really good roadmap that can hopefully help you understand what your pull-up is supposed to like and what you're playing for and all the muscles you're training when you get the pull-up. So we want to see everybody really hit their pull-ups from this. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be a long journey, but it is worth it because it is a key and awesome way to build back muscle and really challenge your entire body.